But let's dive into the pre-show.
Yes.
So, Jerry, just a week ago or 2 weeks ago, had to address the Jimmy Johnson situation in a press conference, and that was us hearing Jerry say, fuck.
Yeah.
For our show, we lost our mind.
Loved it.
But I think Jerry was addressing that in a big way because he knew he and Jimmy were about to be around each other very closely.
Yeah.
And I guess this has been something that I didn't know enough about. I guess Jerry and Jimmy were on the outs.
Big time.
And they talked about last night how they were friends and freshmen in college.
Yeah,
Jimmy
played
and Jerry.
football together, I believe.
Yeah, so they've been tight for a long time. So sometimes your closest friends, whenever you end up being against each other, those things are, hey, cemented in. Like, hey, this is cemented in. I don't think there's ever a respect loss, and maybe there is a respect loss, but those are normally the deeper ones. Whenever it's like, oh, fuck you, no, fuck you, you, how could you do this to me? No, how could you do this to me type thing. And then it's like, well, you're gone forever. So Jerry answering a couple weeks ago in that press conference saying, I don't know how I fucked it up with you. And I didn't know how big of a deal that was for him saying that. And I think once we reacted to it, I heard the internet say, like, this is the first time that Jerry has really admitted almost publicly in a big way that it was kind of his fault that this entire thing happened. Then last night, Jerry was forced to sit in Jimmy Johnson's show.
Yeah.
Okay, so he had to, so somebody who, let's say just for this particular story, let's say Ryan Grigson, okay, got into the Hall of Fame. And Ryan Grigson is a man who did not like me whenever I was playing for the Colts. I did not like him whenever I was playing for the Colts. It was very obvious. Might have led to me really deeply considering retiring because of that. And by the way, I should have been a bigger person. I think we both probably will move on at some point. And it's not, at this point, I'm very thankful for everything that has happened. So it's like, I don't know how he feels, but that's just kind of how it goes. Let's say, he ends up in some award thing that I end up getting into, and then he would have to walk in here and sit right there.
Yeah.
Like the night before. That's kind of what happened with Jerry Jones having to sit on that Fox set where it wasn't just the normal crew with Jimmy. It was also Troy from the booth, and I think they had and it was, everybody was sitting there, and then Jerry and it would be just like sitting right there. And Jerry, Jerry, he almost answered these questions in a good enough fashion where it was not his fault, and he was almost not even going to put Jimmy into the fucking Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor.
Did not want to.
He was dancing around it. I don't want to upstage the thing. Are we doing this? Are we doing this now? And everybody's like, yeah. That'd be like you guys, like basically, like Jerry. That's kind of what it. Because Terry Bradshaw gave it to him a little bit, and then Kurt, they were kind of going at him. I mean, there was a
take it away, Jerry.
Hey, there was one. Go ahead. Yeah, if you want to, and they did like a close-up shot on him, and I thought Jerry was going to be like, because he told the entire story of the ring, and the person that made it said, hey, make this thing a really tight, like really hard to get into, and they have to not only be a great player or perform, but they have to be a massive part of the story of the horseshoe and all that. And he goes through of the star and all this, and he goes through this entire thing, and I thought for sure because the way he was talking about everything else, and he was kind of dancing around it, and though I thought he was going to be able to figure out a way to say, and Jimmy is definitely now in consideration.
He's in the conversation.
But
next year.
Instead, he basically said like he's going in, and then even at the very end of it, because they were trying to get to this point for like 8 minutes, it felt like, or maybe 7. I don't know the exact. It felt like forever, but they were trying to get to what happened in the last 30 seconds when they were running out of time. Jerry said, "We, the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones, are thankful," and whatever. He gave an apology and a thank you to Jimmy Johnson, and it was almost like everybody on set was like, "Okay, fine, Jesus Christ, that's what we were." Okay. And then Troy, a couple times in between the entire time of trying to get them to that moment, basically, Troy was like, they asked him about his thoughts on something else, and he goes, I don't really know anything about that, but I want to let you know. And he basically pointed at Jimmy and Jerry, and he was like, Jerry would have never been the owner that he was without Jimmy. Troy was basically like, hey, you would have never been anything without him, you would have never been everything. So if you guys want to fucking
go.
wrap this up,
Come on.
that would be great. It was, and they did, by the way, by the end of it, and it was like a pretty cool situation. And what immediately followed that, I think, was Mike McCarthy jogging onto the football field. And it was just a beautiful thing. I just, that is what comes with games happening. You know, like those are the situations that were so fun to watch as a football fan last night, aside from the terrible football.
Right.
That, is it the player's fault? Okay. Is it the coach's fault? Okay. Is it that they had 5 days with probably two walkthroughs? Like, there is no time to learn football. It's all ceremonial. And I think all the shit outside Peyton crushed it. I mean, there's just, it was a cool night, I thought.
The interviews in the booth I love too. Like when Peyton came on, when John Lynch went on, and Peyton talking about the Monday Night Football with him and Eli just made me even more pumped for just to see that happen this year.
Omaha Productions is doing a watch along.
Yeah.